Welcome to Morning Coffee Guest. I'm Carol Francis. Now, do you remember having to check in your address book for the phone numbers of family and friends, or going to the library on the weekends to exchange books or to study for exams, write a paper? Most of those activities have changed due to digitization. Learning no longer revolves around the ability to just read, write, and do maths. In the advent of the digital age, there are various drivers of change that will revolutionize the education system. Interactive presentations in classrooms, gamification or motivating and engaging students with applications that has elements of game playing, for example, point scoring, competition with others, and rules of play, to classroom activities is the wave of the future. More and more students are using electronic devices such as laptops or tablets. They are accessing lectures and other educational material through an online portal while they sit in the classroom or the library. To explain more about digital transformation in schools, the pros and cons, is Shamir Sadler, CEO of SmartTerm. Thank you for being here with us this morning.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Now, before we start, I just want to get a little background about who you are and your company.
Right. So, as you mentioned before, I'm Shamir Sadler, CEO of SmartTerm. I'm one of 4 founders in the company. I started off my career at Wilmot's Preparatory and then moved over to Campion College. From there, I decided to go overseas for university, where I went to Howard University, where I studied computer engineering. I always had a love for computers and software, so I decided to push that even further. I was given the opportunity to work at companies like Microsoft, Goldman Sachs, and some startups in New York. That's where I got and honed my talent, and I opened my eyes to the world in terms of what technology can do and the problems it can solve.
Now, somebody looking at you and say, oh, but you're pretty young. How do you get capital for a startup?
Right. What I would say is a business plan is needed, a solid business plan, being able to properly articulate the problem you're solving, put forth a solution, and put the necessary financial projections together that you will need to run your business. Once that is sound, once that is solid and you have a plan, and you could convince individuals to invest in your company. Now,
you are embracing the whole thrust of technology in schools, which appear to have a range of benefits. Right off the bat, I would think improved and effective learning experience. Wouldn't you say?
Yes, yes. When you think about education, you have to think about the stakeholders that are involved in education, right? So let's start at the base of it. So you have the parents and the students. They're the prime beneficiaries of a solid education infrastructure and system. So bringing technology into that space, it means that, one, you'll improve the learning environment in the schools. You'll make learning fun for the students. It's definitely not like when I was in school, where it's a lot of theory-based, right? The students today want more practical experiences. So bringing technology in the classrooms can get you there. And you think about the teachers. They want more resources to deliver content in a fun way and in a very targeted way. Every student learns differently, and technology will give them the ability to target different learning styles in the classroom. And you think about the administrators, everything they do from a day-to-day standpoint, they'll be able to be more efficient at what they're doing by getting out of the filing cabinets and getting out of the multiple Excel sheets and getting into a management system that lets them handle everything in one space, right? Easily searchable items, running reports, generating reports, stuff like that. And then the last stakeholder, which is most important, is the government entities or any type of school boards, where they can properly pull the metrics they need to be able to make data-driven decisions to help improve the education infrastructure. And when you think about that, technology is very powerful and is the core of that, because once you can target each stakeholder and have a comprehensive solution, you'll see great improvements. And it's just about the investment, being able to invest in the future, right?
Now, for all of what you have just said, a theme that seems to run throughout is the need for curriculum change. So we're not going to be just doing geography and history and everything. You're talking about like virtual reality and augmented reality, IT programming, that kind of thing.
Right. Yes, curriculum change is needed. I love the PEP initiative that is happening right now, and where we're going with it, being able to test our students differently.
Okay, you know, I'm glad you mentioned PEP, because I think what PEP is trying to do is to let persons not just do rote training, but in fact to be more critical in their thinking. Yeah. That's what it is all about.
That is what it's about, yeah. So it's actually a better approach than what we have with the GSAT. It will help our students start thinking differently from a very young age, right? And instead of being trained to pass an exam or pass a test, you're being trained to just think. It's very important to start having conversations, parents having conversations with their children about different topics. Just being able to reason with their children, and that will help them do is, instead of trying to remember an answer to a problem, they'll know how to actually think about a problem and solve the problem, as opposed to just trying to pass a test. And this is currently how they're trained and they're structured. When you get to the CXC level, what happens is that you have to be able to think through a problem. You're just presented with a scenario. And because we don't start at an early age in getting our students to think that way, when they get to CXC, it's a bit too late. So you don't find a lot of success rate at the CXC level. Right? So
what do you suggest? Because a curriculum change seems to suggest an entire overhaul of the education system. Right. How is it that your company can help to bring about that change?
Right. So, you know, really and truly, the subject topics are the same. It's just the way it's administered that needs to be different. And what SmartTerm can help with is the fact that we foster online collaboration with the teachers, being able to share resources between each other, being able to make resources readily available at a drop of a dime to students and parents that are also involved in the system. This type of change in the way we think and the culture, everybody has to be involved. Right. As I mentioned before, all the stakeholders, they need to be heavily invested in that change. And what SmartTerm does, it creates that online portal that gives you the ability to stay connected all the time, 24 hours. And like I said before, a lot of things that were a challenge, such as pricing or cost of operating in terms of printing costs, etc., those things become much easier with SmartTerm, because what you get is the ability to always push content and resources to your students and parents, so that they can be ready for all the subject areas, the topics that are involved on the exams, right?
How do you get like a basic school involved in this? Is this something that you are prepared for?
Right. Yes, we are very prepared for that. Onboarding for a school could take up to a week, depending on how ready the school is to get on our system. A basic school is primed for an environment like this, and they could leverage a couple of our things that we offer, such as video surveillance of the classroom, being able to quickly detect if a student is interested in a particular area or subject matter, or interested in what the teacher is saying. Possibly we're working on something to catch early diseases like ADD, stuff like that. So it's very important to start there with the technology, so that you can start creating learning paths for different students, right? And then when you get up to the primary level, same thing. You want to be able to really keep track of what's going on, because with the data, you can use that data to make the proper decisions for the school and for the students themselves. Right?
Okay, so we've been talking to Shamir Sadler, CEO of SmartTerm. When we return, we look at some of the cons of digitization in schools. Morning Coffee Guest continues in a moment.